What I'm going to talk about is I'm going to open some avenues for you. A lot of people come to these, in fact, I wrote it in the book, one of the great conferences. Anybody ever been signed up for a multi-level business of any kind? Come on, all of you have at least once, you know. And so they get you to go to conferences, they get you buy tapes and all that kind of thing, but I went to conferences. Now, A.L. Williams was the only financial services company that was a networking company. And they were purchased by Primerica in 1988, I believe, 89. And Primerica is still around today. And like you've heard before, I was senior vice president with them. But I would go to these, phenomenal resorts. Boca Raton, Florida. Anybody ever been there? There twice, and I'd travel, and I'd go and I'd get so doggone excited, and they'd march people across the stage that were making $10, $20, $50, $100,000 a month, and you get so wired and so excited about everything, and then you get home and you're so excited, and the next day you're kind of excited, and the third day you're kind of excited but not so much, and then the fourth day you wonder why you went. And the fifth day, you're kicking yourself because of all the money you spent to go to this seminar, and what did it do for you? It got you fired up, but they didn't give you any tools to really make the money. And even when I was with the financial services company, I'd go there and they just tell you, well, do more presentations, do them, one-on-ones, just work harder. Well, we all know the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again. And so I come back and I do that, and then I find out that's not how it's done. And then I got a revelation how it's done, and it was nothing like they told me. And within 30 days, I wrote it in the book, within 30 days I was the #1 recruiter in the state of Nevada, and within 2 months I became a senior vice president and qualified for it. And the highest money maker for that particular month. And I kept on doing that. The thing is, here I'm going to give you some actual tools. Now, I'm not going to train you on how to become wealthy. I'm going to give you the parameters how it can be done. Okay? Now, people ask me, they say, well, are you making a fortune? How much do you make? And what do I tell them? First of all, it's none of your business. Okay? It's one of my 40 laws, and that's not how it's written, but anyway, no, you won't find it in there. It's none of your business. It's not one of my titles. Maybe it should have been, Go say. Anyway, I'm just saying, it's a statement I picked up from my daughter. Anyway, so I want you to know that I want to give you some tools here. Since Noel didn't come, how many people know who Noel G is? A couple of you. Any people seen Training Day? He's the killer. Let's see here if I can find his picture. Oh, there's a Ricky. There he is. That's Noel G. If you look him up, you will see that he's in Training Day, Bruce Almighty, the Fast and Furious, Vin Diesel, all that. Well, he's a friend of mine. Maybe after today, since he didn't make it, we'll consider, a sacrifice of some sort. But no, Noel's a wonderful man, and he just couldn't make it today. So I want to be talking to you a little bit about, since we have the extra one, I'm going to talk about by the way, I'll be coming out either this year. I'll probably start writing it this year. Most likely we'll get done by next year. It's 12 Unbreakable Laws of Real Estate. Now, folks, do you know that we've had a real estate challenge? I mentioned it before in the last few years. Hello? You've heard that. You know that. The problem is like I said before, it's up to you to decide whether you want to participate in it. I wrote an article, it says real estate, friend or foe. Well, friend or foe with real estate depends on which side of the fence you're on. If you're on the one where you're losing your home, that's not so fun, is it? Now, you don't have to raise your hand and say, yeah, I'm one of them, but I can't tell you how many people I've run into who lost their house. And so, was that a good thing? Maybe, maybe not. Is there secrets to the free enterprise on real estate? Remember, I told you I've never qualified for a loan for a piece of real estate. I will never qualify for a house, ever. Okay? And you say, well, you mean you don't go to a lender and they approve you and they check your credit score and they check your assets, and they make sure that you're bringing in enough money? No, I don't know. Never done it. Never. And I've bought fourplexes and duplexes and single-family homes, triplexes, apartment complexes. Never once qualified for a loan. Never once. And no, I didn't go to a Nothing Down seminar, and I didn't rob a bank. Thought about it a couple times, but they got laws against that. At least that's what I was told. Anyway, I was sitting at Dad's sanctuary. He was doing a training. And would you like to not be under his training? That's why I go to Sacramento, and I go under his training. We're not talking religion, folks. And one thing I didn't mention, Pastor Godot is very well off as a businessman. Had nothing to do with the church. He lives in a kind of a dumpy little estate. Who's been to Dad's dumpy little estate? Okay. And when you drive up, it's got the 12-foot doors that open up, and it's got rolling hills and pools and fountains, palm trees, animals, birds, llamas, and you can't see the house yet. You're driving through the paved, and then you get to the house, and it looks like a hotel. And that, in some of the other properties, are 28,000 square feet under roof. And now some of you say, well, he's ripped off the church. No, he didn't. It had nothing to do. Actually, the property was his $25 million estate was given to him. Okay? He talked about God. God gave it to him. And when you hear that testimony, I just shook my head, because I spent a week there with Pastor a few years back, and he told me how he got that house. I just shook my head. There is no way, that had to be a hand up there. And so, but beautiful home. We had a breakfast, or a dinner the other, were you at the dinner? We had the dinner, how many, there was 60, 70 people? In the living room with round tables, and we had dinner. That's just the dinner. The point is, the man is very well off. It had, in how he attained all of his wealth, has nothing to do with the church. He is a businessman. Okay, and what he believes in is having the business and the church work together. Okay, and I'm not talking religion. I am talking about if you are whether you're a believer or not, I don't care. You should have, the church and the businessman and woman should be working together. All right? So, he's one of the few people that believe that. Well, I looked at that and I said, I want to be under a man like that. And he has taught me wisdom. And I know a lot of things more about finance than many, many people. I go to sit under him because he teaches me about wisdom. He's teaching about vision today. You ought to, I think it's Law 38. It says about order. And order is the pathway to success. That came from him. That was a law that I took through a teaching that I had of his. And you need to read that. Well, read the whole book. And anyway, so I was sitting in his sanctuary. He was teaching, and I had a gentleman behind me. It was at a break. Now, again, the sanctuary is, you can put 20 of these in it. It has balconies, and it holds, like I said, 5,000 people. And I'm sitting over to the side, and there was a break, and there was a gentleman sitting behind me. And Pastor was talking about vision and business and that kind of thing. And I talked to the guy behind me. He says, I said, well, what do you do? And he says, well, I'm retired. I just retired. And he says, and I'd heard that you had written a book. And I said, yeah, we're in the process of that. He says, and I asked him, I said, well, what are you going to do once you retire? He says, I don't know. And I said, well, what do you do? Or what did you do? He says, well, I'm a prison guard at the federal penitentiary. He says, so once I'm done there, he says, I don't even know what I do. I wouldn't have a book. I wouldn't even know what to write. Now let me ask you guys something. Does he have any stories? Has anybody ever read Chicken Soup for the Soul? Okay. And that's by who? Jack Canfield? Hello? Jack Canfield is probably the most successful author on the planet. He sold over 500 million books, 33 Chicken Soup for the Soul, Chicken Soup for Your Pet, Chicken Soup for the Pet. I mean, he 33 versions of the Chicken Soup series. Sold 500 million. If you go online, you'll see me taking a picture with Jack Canfield. And his book was turned down 144 times. I had somebody the other day when I was in Sacramento said, well, how many times did you get turned down before your publisher finally took your book, Wayne? And I said, once. I never have been turned down. I pitched it. They said, we'll do it, and it was done. Have you ever walked under and watched somebody that seems like whatever they touch turns to gold, and everything you touch doesn't? Let me clean that up, okay? Yeah, I have for years. I'm going, what is it? It's called being under a blessing. And some of you may believe that or not. And again, this is when you're under a blessing, doors open for you have no right to have open, believe me. And so let me ask you, by the way, Chicken Soup for the Soul is nothing but short stories, isn't it? Okay? And it's sold, Jack Canfield's out selling hundreds of millions of books, and he has a membership site and all that kind of thing. And the people that promote his book, and the publisher that promoted his book, and the one who promoted Robert Kiyosaki's and published Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You heard of that one? Okay, ladies, how about Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus? Oh, yeah. Women go, oh, God, yes, I know that one. Anyway, that's John Gray. That's my publisher. Okay? That's who published this book. These are the people that were behind the scenes in 1970s and 80s that published Jack Canfield's book, and he was turned down 144 times. And I asked Jack, I said, Jack, you're looking at one of the most tenacious people I know, which is myself. I said, if I was turned out 20 times, maybe 30, 40, but I looked at him and I said, 144 times, there is absolutely no way I would have lasted that long. I said, people were telling you how crappy your book was, how it would never sell, the title was wrong, and I mean, they were very graphic about his book. And I asked him, I said, how did you know to keep going on? And he says, Wayne, he says, I can't really explain it. He said, the only way I can is I just knew that I knew that I knew. I said, there was a spirit inside me that said, keep on keeping on. And so my question is there a book in you? Hello? See, a lot of you, do you know that I never sought out to be an author? Never cared. Never wanted to do that. I thought, that to be an author is a great thing. People are asking me, aren't you excited about you being an author and all that? And I go, I'm too wound up yet. Maybe this weekend it'll hit me, okay? But yeah, I'm excited about it, but it's surreal. And if you know what surreal is, it's almost not like it's me. But can it happen for you? Yes, it can. And I want to open this up to you. Let me ask you about this prison guard. Do you think he has a book in him? Oh my God, would you read a book? Do you know how many people that I said would, and I told him, I kind of chewed on him. I said, you as a prison guard, do you have all the bad things, right? You can write on that. People love to read about bad stuff. But I said, do you have some successes about the people that did go in and left and they become something? He says, yeah. I said, you could write multiple books on that. He looks at me and he goes, I never thought of that. My question to you, is there a book in you? We have an NHR drag master, is what I call him. This man builds funny cars from the ground up. What I mean from the ground up, he puts the rods and the metal together, welds them, balances them, puts 5,000 horsepower in the engines, and he's been doing this for over 30 years. He is an NHRA, National Hot Rod Association. He travels anywhere from 250 to I think, gone over 300 miles. Did you ever do over 300 miles? He goes in fact, he says, I don't put my engines to 8,000 horsepower. I keep it down to 5,000 horsepower so I don't blow my engines up, so I can use them more and more. I once asked him, I said, what's the mileage on this dragster? And now, you got to understand, the fuel lines are solid metal, and they're about that big around. And he says, oh, it's about 20 gallons to the quarter mile. 20 gallons to the quarter mile. And that thing pulls so much fuel, and I never even noticed it before, that it's the fuel that cools the engine. It doesn't have a radiator or anything else. What cools the engine? The fuel. Well, that's interesting. And so this is a friend of mine that was my number one recruit back in A.L. Williams back in 1987. And that's Ricky Reese. Ricky, would you stand? He's sitting right in our audience. Stand. Would you give him a hand? This is a man that's blowing a car up at 300 or 250 miles an hour. I didn't tell him I was going to do that. Okay, that's enough. Sit down. That's Ricky. And I have told some of the people, I said, Ricky got in trouble for that shot, and I won't tell you why. But you're not supposed to pour fuel on your tires. Anyway, but that's Ricky, and that he built this thing. And his sons are in it. Cheryl, that puts up with him, they've been married. How long have you guys been married? 43 years you put up with him. Okay. And she still likes him. But Ricky's a good friend, love him to death. But he's been doing this for over 30 years. His kids are in it. And so, 50. I didn't even know you were that old. Oh, okay. It's the vision. But let me ask you, Ricky, because we talked before. You think you got a book in you? I did this because I wanted to answer your question you asked me about. Because he's getting old. He's still got his hair. And it's really irritating that he does. But this man he's got a video where he blew up a car. How fast were you going when you blew it up? 250. It exploded. The engine exploded, I think. Threw fuel everywhere. This man gets out of a burning, it's engulfed in flame, and he comes out the top, I believe. But there's a video on it. I don't know, do you think there's any stories about that you'd want to read? Is there a book in Ricky? Absolutely. He's been doing this long. There's the good, bad, and the ugly, and how to get sponsors, and how. Do you think somebody'd like to know how to get sponsors? Absolutely. There's secrets to that, and he's gotten sponsors, and I'm just proud of him. He's just done a great job. He's always been a good friend. Always shows up for my meetings. I haven't quite figured out why, but so is there a book? Absolutely. Is there anybody here that knows somebody that has published a book with a major publisher lately? Amazing, isn't that? And has the contacts to get you to that publisher. And to do the passion you want to do, he'll do it differently if because he's not going to erase forever. That goes to his kids. But could he do tours, and could he promote and write his book? Come on, folks, help me out. Can he do that? Is there a book in you? If there's something, you have no idea what people will pay you for what you do. Just like the prison guard, I opened his eyes. Stop. If you have what you've spent your entire life doing, you have got a book in you, and you now have a contact to get you there. And I was blessed to have those doors open for me. Okay? Now, does it take money to publish a book? Yep. How do you do that? It's not in the book, by the way. Who gave me the authority to write a book? Who gives you the authority to do it? I do. Remember Dad's talking about a big vision? What I write, if you got a dream, how big should you dream? Dream big, does it cost any more? Nope. But a dream is just a dream until you put action behind it and apply it. Now, if you just dream, you will always dream. Okay? Dreams are wonderful. In fact, you can't do anything without a dream. You'll see in the CEO message, and don't read it right now, but you'll see in the CEO message that to take an idea, a thought, just from here and write it down on a napkin, or just write it down and create a thing out of nothing. That's how I created Nevada Business Corporation. It's how I did 30 years in finance. I just got an idea. It's how I bought real estate. It's how I stepped out and authored my first book. We're going to talk about some of the other things here. Can you make millions writing a book? You can, but one of the things that I was under Steve Harrison, and if you look up the Harrison Group, they'll explain who they are. Steve Harrison holds up the book and he says, this is just a pamphlet. Yes, you'll make money off of it, but he says, the millions you make off of it is what is around the book, what you do around the book. Do you know most people self-publish? And do you know what the average book sales that they do that self-publish? Anybody know? 100 books. They sell it to friends and family, and that's pretty much where it ends. You can't sell a book that way. You can't do it that way. Folks, I was talking to a person just before the meeting started again. I said, now the work really starts. Books published. I was talking to Alex, Pastor Alex. The book really starts, and the work really starts. Now I got to go on interviews on television. I just did one last week, Channel 2. Anybody see it? It was out there? Okay. And that aired 5, 6, 7 times. Do you know what that segment on the news, on television, do you know how much I paid for that? Nothing. Not a thing. So if I bring an idea or a news story to them, guess what they're always looking for? News stories. Now, if you go buy ads, you pay for it. If you are a news story, and when I got done with talking with Chris, him and I spent 2 more hours talking after that. And actually, we were talking in the parking lot, getting to know each other and that kind of thing. And he says, I'd really like to have you back on some of my, where the financial professionals are. And that. He says, would you be interested? Oh, no, I don't think I have time. No, I'd absolutely be honored to do that. But I'm also going to be taking interviews on 1,000+ radio stations all over the nation. I've already been in front of Fox News, Fox and Friends, ABC, CBS, MSNBC, and I will be setting up interviews with them as well. Now that I have the book and I have a video of me talking in front of an interview, now I can put that in front of the large syndicated ones, and I have already been there in front of them. All right? This is what they told me to do. And the Harrison Group said I was in a room this big with 40 of the top radio and television in New York. I'm not talking local. I'm talking Fox News, Fox and Friends, ABC, CBS, NBC. I'm talking about the big puppies. Now, do you think I'm going to put if I just show my face once on Fox News or Business or ABC, how many people will sign into my membership site? I mean, it reaches millions. I only have to do it once. Okay? I've already talked to them. Why do I have that connection? Because I've already worked with those people. They are the people that promote my book. So do you have a connection? Hello? Dad talked about vision. If you are the right guy or gal, you should be having your vision stretched right now. You should go, I never thought of that before. You never thought you could be in that position. I'm challenging you. Think that way. Do you know who has the contacts? We talked about that. Do you know how to get on TV? Probably most of you don't. How about Hollywood movies? Now, Noel G. was supposed to be here, and he's a Hollywood actor, but I also in front of producers, directors, down in Los Angeles, been flying down there. That whole door opened for me, and I've got 3 movies to write. Now, how many people know how to write a screenplay? Good, that makes 2 of us. I don't know how to write a screenplay. But what I'm going to do, I copied how somebody else wrote their screenplay. I mean, I didn't copy their screenplay, but how they did it. And I'm going to write because I have 3 movies that are going to, when I tell people how the movie goes, I've had them in tears and had them in awe. They just look at me in dead silence in front of the producers. They said, you need to get that done. And do I know how to fund movies? Never funded a movie before, but do you think that there'd be anybody who, when I tell them and show them what I've got to show them, would they invest in it? Oh, absolutely. Movies are very dangerous to invest in, okay? So that's the trilogy. I still have 2 more movies up here. I have 5 more books up here, okay? So what do I know about writing and acting? It was funny. I was in the conference with the directors and everybody down in Los Angeles. Noel G. was there too, and I said, so if I'm the executive producer, I want an acting role in the thing. No, I'm kidding. And they go, yeah, you'd be great in it. And Noel says, when you're funding it, you can be in any place you want to be. And I said, oh, baby. I was just thinking of a cameo. But he says, yeah, you could be the judge, and you could do this. And the thing is I don't know anything about acting, but I do know about being passionate about what I believe in and what I can do, okay? Do you need to learn about corporations and stuff? Finance, business? Yes. Because what good is it if you're making a bunch of money and you haven't got a clue where to put it, how to keep it, okay, and how to not blow it. If you don't know, or if you've never been trained up in money, you're always going to lose money. Come on, folks. Money. You gotta learn. Who told me that I could do this? I did. I sat there, and when Dad said, yeah, Wayne's got a big vision. Oh, you have no idea. And it's gotten bigger. And I'm going, I have never thought about doing Hollywood movies. And yes, they have the connections to the big boys. And no, I'm not giving away the rights because I don't have to. My book, I didn't give away the rights either. Okay? So, if you give away rights, what happens? What do you give away? Money and control, absolutely. Okay? So, do you have to know something about business? Hello? Then you should be trained up in business. Because what good is if you write a book, you make a movie, you go out and sell something, you drag race, you do anything that you do, if you are not doing the right things, guess what you're doing? Every year, in fact, I have questions. If you're successful, it's in the book, if you're successful in the next 12 months as you were in the last 12 months, where are you going to be? Hello? Pastors? If you save as much money in the next 12 months as you did in the last 12 months, where are you going to be? If you're successful, ask that question. In your marriage, in your walk, in your savings account, in your job, most people hate their jobs. I wrote an article the other day, and it's a month or so ago, and it's titled, Hate My Boss. And so it started out and said, I can't stand the man. He doesn't pay me enough. He treats me like crap. The only time I ever get recognition is when I screw up. He doesn't schedule me. He works me 60, 70 hours a week. He doesn't even say nice things to me. okay? I don't like him, and I know he doesn't like me. And then I end at the bottom and I said, oh yeah, I'm the boss. What do you speak to yourself? When someone comes and says negative stuff to me, I'll hear it. I'll hear their comments. And I haven't got time for that, folks. If I have a falling out with somebody and they want to fight, after a while, I'll say my piece and then I'm done. Why? I haven't got time. Folks, you can't got time. One of the 40 laws is you got to do what makes you money first. So do you get online and fight with somebody online and tell them off, and with the 4 or 5 few people you do know, and so by the time you're done, it's noon. Well, it's time for what? Lunch. And you take 2 hours because you're the boss, right? And then at 2 o'clock, you're ready to get right back at it. And so you do a little social networking. You answer what's on the emails, oh, hi, and then you make a couple of calls to your girlfriend or boy, the guy friends or whatever. And it's 4 o'clock. And, well, it's time to take off early. So, because I've had a very busy day. Well, did you do anything that made you money? And in business, it's the number one thing that when I sit down at my desk, I have my iPad, and I still do the stickers, and I read, yep, I got to do this one, and I'll move them over, and I'll put them right in front of me. And that way I don't forget them because they're that important. And the ones that stay there for 2 weeks, do I really need to get after them? Nope. 2 weeks, I get rid of them. Whatever works for you, but you got to do what makes you money first. And so many people are out there, I don't care if you're working at a job, are you worth the pay that you're getting? Would you even keep you? I'm telling you. Now, I always did things with excellence. Always. Even when I was not in the best position or the person that I was doing it for had treated me very well, I still did the job with excellence. Always. My last job, Dan talks about, by the way, it was 1984, and it's 31 years ago, and Dan was my assistant manager at Wendy's right here in Reno. Okay, absolutely hated the job. The reason why is because 2 years before I closed my restaurant, which was a dream of mine. At 28 years old, that was my dream to have my restaurant, and 2 years later I had the distinct pleasure of closing that restaurant. Didn't bankrupt it, but I learned some rules about, and had I known what I know today, that restaurant still be going. I would have sold it or something because, and by the way, if you ever want to get into a restaurant, come talk to me. I will beat you to death. Okay? Figuratively speaking. Don't you ever get in a restaurant business. Okay? You want to buy yourself a job? Do that one. Okay? Do I know? I spent 20 years in the business. Don't do it. And what gets me is so many people, oh, I'm just going to go, I got a good cookie recipe. I'm going to go start a restaurant. Oh, brother. Keep your cookie recipe, your soup recipe, cook it for your friends and family. Don't you dare open up a restaurant. What do you know about a restaurant? And it's the number one failure in business. And you want to go invest 100, 200 grand and 60, you'll work 60, 80 hours a week. Do you know what I work? I start at 10 because I'm up at 5:30, 6 o'clock. I do my prayers. I do workouts. I do the things that I need to do. By 10 o'clock's when the office opens. I do not work past 6 unless it's a conference or something special, and I don't work weekends. Why? That's my private time. My executive assistant and vice president, Dan, he knows if he calls me on a weekend or texts me, do I answer it? Think about it. He knows me. Absolutely, because that man will never text me or email me or text me. I know there's a problem, and he needs to get a hold of me. Other than that, don't call me. My sister used to do that, and I love her to death, but she used to call me at 10 at night and want to talk business. She doesn't do that anymore. Brother was kind. I threatened her and everything, and I told her, well, she's my favorite sister. She says, well, I'm your only sister. And I said, well, you're my favorite. She couldn't make it here. She's a business person, and she's out of state doing some business. Legal stuff. It's legal. She does legal. Anyway, but she sent her blessings and that kind of thing. So the thing is you got to understand, the person that's keeping you from success is who? You. Have I had failures? Oh, God, some of you know. I told you before. You want to know how to fail? Come talk to me. I know how it's done. But I also know how it's not done. All right? I don't fail anymore. I don't do those things anymore. Does that mean I've arrived and don't make mistakes? Yes. No, I'm kidding. No, I still have those, but the mistakes are gotten a whole lot smaller, right? Say right. Come on. Yeah, I've done a whole lot. You're supposed to get wiser as you get, not necessarily older. Can you imagine? I'd love to be 25 and know what I know today. Now, some people say, I'd never want to be 25. Oh, please, yes, you would. Is there anybody in here that knows the expiration date on their birth certificate? Okay, I'll wait on that one. If you do, that's called suicide. Since you don't know when you're getting out here, does everybody here know that you're not getting off this planet alive? Hello? So if you know that and that's in the book, I talk about it, since you know you don't own anything, I have title to that. Yeah, until you're dead, and then where does it go? To your first and second cousins removed, and that's, you've got the people out of Kentucky and Tennessee that you never even knew was part of your family, and they're contesting the will. It stays here. So what are you doing for the destiny of your children? See, you're supposed to be a person that leaves an inheritance for your children's children. Okay? That's your job. And if you're not raising your kids right, and I'm not talking about beating your kids, but you're supposed to discipline your kids. And guess what the word everybody thinks discipline means? Beating your kids. It came from the root word discipleship, which means train up. Train up. Teach your kids business. Wouldn't it be neat to have your kids? That's what Ricky's done. He's got him in the doggone racing. They still some have jobs and everything. But the point is, they know him and Cheryl as entrepreneurs. And they don't think the same. Do you know that millionaires generally raise people who are millionaires? They don't raise people to go get a job. They raise people to own businesses that give jobs to other people. Okay? It's a whole different mindset. So wealth has very little to do with money and everything to do with applied knowledge. You got to have the knowledge and your mindset. If your mindset's all screwed up, you'll never win in money. Ever. Okay? So, I'm going to talk about Quantum Leap. I'm not going to keep you guys here forever. We've got 6 more hours, and so... And they're laughing. Oh, yeah, the doors are locked. You're not getting out of here. I'm sorry. Anyway, I have a Quantum Leap program. And what that is that's where you get to spend 2 solid days with me, and I'm going over stuff, and I'm putting into you not everything I know, because I can't do that in 2 days. I can't take 30 years of knowledge and plug it into your head. But what I can do is be your consulting partner. Wouldn't you want to so you got to be very careful. In fact, it's law number 2. It says if you don't, what is it? If you can't change your friends, change your friends. I have lost more money, had more grief, had more heartache because I hung my wagon or attached my wagon to the wrong people. It has cost me more money, wrong investment, wrong person. I'm telling you, you've got to read that chapter. Every one of those, you may read the laws. I could write a book on every one of those laws. To keep that, actually when I wrote the book, they said write 200 pages. I did. The problem is, when it comes to 6 by 9, I was writing it on 8.5 by 11. 6 by 9, I'd written a book that was 400 pages long, that thick. I wouldn't even read the book, okay? That's too thick. We managed to edit it down to 267 pages. But I'm telling you, you will not have to, don't let the 40 get you down. And I even talk about it. Read the preface. Read this book. You won't have to worry about memorizing 40 laws. Believe me. Well, you'll pick 4 or 5 that are your own. And you'll go, yep, there he is. Law 14, Law 14. Anybody got Law 14? What's Law 14? 10% of the people have the right to remain stupid. Now, some people say, well, you're being mean to them. No, have you ever done anything stupid? Okay, so now there's a difference in doing things stupid and being stupid. And so, but there's 10%, I think it's more like 20%. But the problem is the people go out, to me, stupidity is when you know better, you have the education, and you go out and do it again, no matter what the consequences. That's stupid. Ignorant means lack of knowledge. You don't know. But once you change from ignorance to stupid, you've got to check yourself. Have you ever done something stupid other than me? Am I the only one? And done it more than once? Oh, yeah. And I'm just going, Wayne, what were you thinking? I've looked back at some of the people I've hooked my wagon to, and I'm going, Wayne, what were you thinking? How come you didn't get it? When today I'm going, that would be the last thing I would do. That book is a culmination of 30 years of trials, tribulations, success, and failures. That's what it is. So, but from that, if you want to learn from me. Don't learn from your own. It's okay to learn from your own, failures. In fact, it's one of my laws. You only learn from failure, not success. That's not a negative statement. So, if you only learn, you say, no, yeah, but I need to succeed. Yeah, but success is built on levels of failure. So stop getting all torn up about it. Oh, I just lost all that money. I've got people that have invested overseas. Have anybody heard of Zeek Rewards? I don't mind putting it on tape either. Or Profitable Sunrise. These are international offshore investments that people put tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or millions of dollars into, and they walked away with the money. And the people all lost. And they filed corporations with us and getting ready to take that money, and we're going to train them on how to use the money and keep the taxes low and all the different things. And it all went away. And we had a handful of them call us and say, well, we want to let our corporation quit, and we don't want to renew it. We don't have a need for it. Now, I don't know about you, but I've had failures. So what do? Can you imagine me? Think about me. Now, I haven't worked other than 2 years in interior design. I haven't worked for anybody since August 7th, 1985. Okay? So, can you imagine me, if I failed at something or failed in a company, can you imagine me in a unemployment line? Hello? Why? A lot of you don't know me. Some of you do. Do you think I think that way? No. What would I do? I'd start another business. I'm going, man, I really blew that one. I'd be fired up in another business. I've had failures before, but I know that if, it's another one of my laws. If you stay confused and stumble forward, you will always win. Just don't stay confused forever. Okay? I don't walk through life staying confused and stumble forward, but if I failure, it's like water off a duck's back. Starting a new company, it's like water off a duck's back, and we're going after it with a new business, new concept. And so I've done that many times. I've never experienced bankruptcy. I talk about bankruptcy in there, and you don't have to file bankruptcy. In fact, our firm works with a bankruptcy attorney out of California that we keep people out of bankruptcy, and he's a bankruptcy attorney. We use the bankruptcy laws, okay? Another one of mine is Law 28. It said, don't fear the IRS, learn the rules. Learn the rules. 29 says don't raise the ire of the IRS. Don't do stupid and foolish things. Well, I only claim my cash or my credit cards. I don't claim cash that comes into my company. What did you just do? You just told them you're not claiming income, and not claiming income is what? It's a felony, and you can go to prison for that. It's called tax evasion. Okay? Well, I've done it all this time. Yeah. You can do it. It's not one of my laws, but you can do anything you want until you're audited. Okay? So, folks, I have a quantum leap. I have real estate war stories. Okay? I have 2 quantum leap members right here. Do I have war stories? Oh, yeah. You'd not live till you've done a rehab and your first tenant doesn't pay the first month after the first month's rent and walks out with what? All the carpet. I went, what? This is in Texas. They called me up and went, what? We just rehabbed it, put brand new carpet. I'm not talking a little piece of carpet. I'm talking bedrooms, bathroom. They took the carpet. They left the pad, though. That was really nice. We appreciate that. Oh, I've got stories. Okay? See the $900 suing tenant? I got sued once for evicting a tenant for non-payment. Okay? He came back and sued me for $900. I cannot tell you. I ended up having to pay the man because it cost me $2,000 to fight it in court. And he knew it. And I was seething writing that check. Now, I could have spent the $2,000, but then this brings us to another law, Law 12. You will always do the wrong thing when you're angry or emotional. Always. Always, folks, always, always. And everybody looks at the negatives. Oh, yeah, angry. Well, we can all relate to saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing, when you're angry. Right? Come on, guys. You're so righteous out there. Come on. Absolutely. But how about emotional? Emotional doesn't have to be negative. Emotional could be, and I pick on the ladies. I love doing this. It was on television. Ladies are the last word when it comes to the home. And it better have a big what in it. And not just a big kitchen, but a beautiful, and it better have not a walk-in closet, but a big walk-in closet. Sorry, guys. And I don't care who pays for the house. It's usually both incomes. It's the woman that makes that decision. Sorry. Right, Greta? Absolutely. Now, it's generally the man that makes the decision on cars. We love to pet our cars. We go out and hug it at night. We don't let the wife see it, but, we open the door and scoot in, put our arms over the door, and the door kind of closes on us and hugs us back. And so we love our cars, okay? That's us men, okay? But, folks, if you're emotional, you'll make the wrong decision, even if it's a positive one. When I buy another one of my laws is do not fall in love with what you own or what you buy. Okay? First of all, you don't own it. You think you do. You just don't. But the second thing is, when I buy real estate, do I give a flip about the real estate? No, I don't fall in love with it. I look at it for the numbers, the rehab dollars and all that. Even if it was my own home. Now I'm buying a pretty big home next year. And am I going to put that in my personal name? No, absolutely not. It's going to go in a what? Corporation. And so a corporation, and if I live in it, I'm now a what? I'm a tenant. So I am a renter. Why would I do that? When you have a personal home, what can you deduct when you're paying the payment? What? Just the interest, right? Come on, just right? Just the interest. And some capital expenditures and that kind of thing, but you can only get that when you sell it. So you only get a portion, which is mostly interest. What else can you deduct? Maybe a little bit of taxes, but other than that, zero. Well, why not rent from the house? Be the renter, and you're renting from this terrible corporation and you're paying this rent. Is rent deductible for you? Most people know this. No. So, but who owns the corporation? And it's an S corporation which passes through all profits and all losses at the end of the year. And you have a triple net lease, which includes your lease payment, and it has to be market, includes your what? Your utilities, your repairs, your maintenance, lawn keep. You need a new hot tub. It's all deductible because it's an investment or an income property, and it gets depreciation on top of it, and all, even though you paid in rent, that will show a loss, and all those losses flow back through to whom? You, because you are the owner. So would you rather get deductions on everything on the house or interest? And it's covered by and protected by the corporate veil. Do you do that in all cases? No. You ever been paid to live in your house? There's a way you do that too. That's when we get into international offshore. And I mean the legal ones. We do the legal ones, okay? Okay, let's get past that. I've already talked to you. How do I never qualify for a loan again? Well, it's because you don't know how. You think you have to. I asked somebody the other day, I said, okay, if you're going to buy a car and it's worth $80,000 and you need $5,000 today to buy it, but it's worth $80,000. I said, what would you do? And they said, well, I'd go down and I'd apply for a loan. And I went, no. How fast would a car that's worth $80,000 sell for $5,000? In hours or minutes. Are you going to have time to go get qualified for a loan? How do you get the funding for that? It's in the Quantum Leap program. We talked about it. Okay? In fact, we have a film that's up on our website, or shortly will be, where I don't talk about how to buy a car, but that takes a training. You got to know how to buy a car and get someone else to pay for it. And I don't just talk about deductible. I'm talking repairs, maintenance, insurance, fuel. I don't care what fuel costs. I just noticed it went up. The fuel went up, didn't it, last week? I went, geez, that went up. Do I care? No, because I get somebody else to pay for it. I don't pay for my stuff. Stop paying for your stuff. Well, I got to pay for my house. Who told you had to pay for your house? See, you think you got to do that. You don't got to do that. I know that's not real good English, but you don't have to do that. The only reason you think you have to is because you've been taught out of college or high school that you've got to do it that way. When I tell people you can get out of debt with credit cards, they go, what? What? It's so frustrating to me. If you can have the boat, the plane, the cars, no debt. You can have all of it. The house. Who told you you had to pay for it? And who told you that the money you got was taxable? And I'm not talking about getting a loan and having to pay it back. Loans aren't taxable. I'm talking about getting the money, keeping it, never paying federal income tax on it, and it's totally okay with the Internal Revenue Service. Why? Because I know the rules. The rules are simple. When I show people, they go, wow, I never thought of that. It's a revelation. You're just not taught to do it. Okay? It's not your fault. They didn't teach me either. At least you didn't have to be, 700 years old. So I started a company on $127. That's a whole story how that's done. How to buy a car, I've already talked about it. It's the deal. If you have the deal, you can always find the money. If you have a house that's worth $300,000 and you can buy it for $50,000, is that a deal? Where would you get the money? Well, I'd go down with my hat in my hand and I'd apply for a loan, and they're going to ask me for, my firstborn, secondborn, my DNA, and no, that's not how it works. You find a deal like that, and it's not something that's a disaster? Who do you know that would have the money to go do that? You don't know the answer, do you? You're looking at him. You never thought of that, did you? I fund real estate projects, but they got to work. They got to hit a certain criteria. You guys never thought of that. You're going, really? Yeah. Who do I get it from? Do you think I use my money? Are you kidding? I never use my money, ever. And I don't qualify for it either. And yes, I do have a good credit score. You should have a good one. It's not just for... Anyway. I also have very low taxes. And one thing I talk about is being a wealthy poor person. I told that to Dad at lunch today. He laughs. He knew exactly what I meant. See, the big boys and girls know what I'm talking about. You just don't, because no one's ever taught you. Or you haven't taken the time or the money to invest in yourself to do it. Well, I don't, like myself, I don't have enough. Remember I said, if you want to get something done, give it to someone that has no what? Is too busy. And they will always get it done. Okay? Maxing your credit cards with the wrong debt, paying off your credit cards with the right debt. Now, Robert Kiyosaki talks about having good debt and bad debt. And that's true. But that's not what I'm talking about. Okay? Yeah, you got to read the book. Anybody know that I've got a book that's open? Hello? Anybody not get a book? If you don't, you're in big trouble and you cannot get out of this room. The book is your ticket out. Okay? Bankruptcy. Who told you you had to file bankruptcy? My very first law when I closed my restaurant. I got the very first lesson from a bankruptcy attorney, and that's the same question he asked me. I said, well, we closed it. I got all these creditors. They're coming after me. I have to claim bankruptcy. He looked at me, and he said, who told you you have to claim bankruptcy? I went, what? I said, I have this contract with Park Lane Mall that I owe them $220,000 in a lease. I have all this equipment. Did I tell you don't get into restaurant business? Okay. And I owe these, 50 grand here. And I said, yeah, we signed for it. And I was not under a corporation, which I didn't know anything about him at that time. And I said, so I've got all these people. And he says, who told you? He asked me again, who told you you had to get bankrupt? You had to file bankruptcy? I said, I owe all this money. He says, yeah. Here's a lesson. I'll give you a flavor. It's in the book. I'll give you a flavor. He says, well, who has the gold? In fact, it's in that chapter. Who has the gold? I said, they do. He looks at me and he says, who has to pay the bill? I said, well, I'm supposed to pay the bill, but I don't have any money. He says, yeah, but who has to pay the bill? I said, well, I do. He says, so who has the gold? And I go, I do? He goes, you are the one in control, not them. And that was a huge revelation. 1982 was my very first lesson on that. And that's why you find he who has the most gold, not the gold, the most gold. And gold doesn't necessarily mean money. You need to read the chapter. Read every one of them. By the way, when you get toward the end of the book, you'll see how all the rules or the laws fall together. By the way, never filed bankruptcy. And it's in the book, explains how that worked out. Okay? Why are you paying all those taxes? Do you or your spouse, anybody, you don't have to raise your hand, anybody here got a job? And I'm talking about an employee, okay, not a business owner. If you're working, you get a wonderful thing called a what? And you have to fill out what when you start? Other than the W-9, you have to fill out a what? See that little thing on the end? W-4, where you put 0 or 1 and you tear that puppy off? Anybody ever done that? Okay. Why did you put 0 or 1? Because everybody else did. Do you know that the front of the IRS did not tell you, and I will say this, it's not the Internal Revenue Service job to train you on taxes. It's not their job. It's your job. Learn the secrets to the free enterprise system. Stop paying all the taxes. I don't have, When I don't pay a lot of taxes, it's because I have done it correctly. I don't scam the IRS. I claim, it's one of the 40 laws, claim everything that you make and deduct everything to which you are entitled. That's right out of the federal book, by the way. So they tell you, take your deductions. The problem is, who taught you what deductions? Who taught you to structure it so that you're not paying this, you're paying this? They're not going to do that. In fact, you can't hardly get them to answer your questions. How many deductions are you supposed to take? The front of the sheet is a worksheet on how many deductions you're supposed to take if you don't itemize, if you don't own a home or something. You got kids. Read it, fill in the blanks, and put 4 or 5. Do you want a big tax return? I can't tell you how many people brag about a big tax return to me. Why would you overpay the government $4,000 and they keep your money tax-free and interest-free and give it back to you next year? And now you got that forced savings, and you do what with it? Spend it, go on a vacation, yay! Is the vacation deductible? Are vacations deductible? Nope. What's a 4-letter word in my office? Vacation. If you're going to go on a vacation, you make it a legitimate, and I have to say legitimate, business. If you got to breathe anyway, you got to breathe, right? Well, some of you are questionable, what I see out there. You got to breathe anyway. Make it a business. Make it deductible and get paid to do it. So if you got to go on a vacation, I don't go on vacations. I haven't gone on a vacation. In fact, do you realize I have many companies. Do you know there's no possible way I can go on a vacation? That's something I've never said in any presentation. There is absolutely no way I can go on a vacation, no matter where I go. If I was just in Nigeria, Africa, speaking to a group of people. Was a Nigerian trip deductible? What was I teaching? Money and finance. What was I promoting? My book that was not out yet. Was that deductible? You ever go to Africa on a business trip? Can you do that with a cruise? Yes, you can. It has to be legitimate. I'm not talking about scamming the IRS. You've got to know the rules. And so wherever I go, now I have a membership site. Can you have a membership site? You don't even know what that is. I didn't know what it was a year and a half ago. I about fell off my chair when I found out that those existed. Could you have a membership site? When I go to Europe and I'm walking the beach, and Dan's filming me because I know he'd want to be there, and I'm talking to the camera, we're going to go upload it so it goes online, and I'm going to be talking to you in Europe on the beach. And I'm going to be talking about the money and the deductions and how business works and all the things to get over there. Would you like to know that? Hello? I would have gone to Ukraine just last month with Pastor, but it's I got held up here and couldn't leave. In November, we are traveling to Israel. Be there for 2 weeks. Israel, you think would be a business trip or a vacation? Business trip. Okay. Well, I meet people there and take people there. Yes. That are part of the business. People are paying taxes every quarter. They don't have to pay. And I'm not talking scamming the IRS. Folks, do not do things that are illegal. I'm not an attorney, but you know that holding up a bank is probably not the thing to do, okay? I don't think you need to be told that. Not claiming income is a felony, and it will put you in prison if you do it enough, okay? Who's the actor that's there now or soon to be out? Wesley Snipes. He learned a lesson. And the thing is, he gets to go in, and he still comes out, and he still owes the taxes, by the way. Oh, absolutely. In fact, a whole lot more, because there's what on those taxes? Interest. Is that interest deductible in that case? No. Let's go into business. Add more deductions, including Quantum Leap program. My Quantum Leap is deductible. Why? Because if you get in business, everything you do Most everything you do is deductible. Now, if you want to write off your suit, can you write off your suit? It depends on what's up here. What if I have the name of Nevada Business Corporations or 40 Laws? Or what? Is my suit not deductible? Absolutely. They might argue that the pants aren't deductible. Okay, they're like that. Understand what it means if you have to spend money. If you have to spend money anyway, make it deductible. If you have to breathe anyway, we talked about it, run purchases through your corporation. Folks, when I buy a computer or I buy a TV, you think that's a personal asset? Are you kidding? Corporation buys it. I'll explain why. Have anybody ever had Thanksgiving here? I mean, this is America, right? Okay, and we celebrate Thanksgiving. Somebody asked me when I was in Nigeria, do you celebrate Thanksgiving over here? I went, oh man, that's like 4th of July in Nigeria. No, I don't think they do. Okay, it's not quite, that's an American deal. Have you ever had Thanksgiving? Have you ever gone to Costco and spent $100, $200? Well, you can't get out of Costco for under $100. But you go spend $200, buy the food and the big ham or the turkeys and all the fixings and you brought it home and run that through your corporation. Can you do that and deduct it all? I did. Why? Because everybody that showed up, my sister and her partner, they are clients of mine and they are associates of mine, work on behalf of the corporation. So how about my daughter and her husband? They're right over there, and do they work for the corporation? Yes, they do. So if you're going to have Thanksgiving anyway, legitimately, bring business people. And those business people can be your family. And if you don't like them, they don't have to be. I talk about that. It's what I call loving them from a distance. Just because they're family doesn't mean you have to invite them. You can send them a little package of food. Anyway, so do you understand? How about Christmas? Can you do that? Well, have you ever heard? See, we don't think about this, but this is the way it is all the time. You see on TV, oh, they had a what party? Christmas party. Corporation has a Christmas party for all their employees. Do you think that's deductible? Absolutely, 100%. It promotes the company. It promotes the business. See, you know this. You just never been on that end. Computers, phone, TV. Do you think my iPhone is owned by me? No. Nevada Business Corporation owns it. And it pays the bill. Do you see that I don't really, if I've got all these entities providing these things, like the cars, buy a car, I don't own the car I drive. Who owns it? Corporation. Fully deductible. It's a corporate vehicle. And there's some rules on that. How about clothing? A lot of people think they can write off stuff. If you put a emblem of your corporation on your underwear, yes, you can deduct it. Just don't be showing it around unless you know. How many cars do you own? You have to have a personal car. We won't get into all that. But anyway, so be under referral contract. One thing that people tell me all the time, I just don't know how to make any money. If you go online and watch that film, go to 40laws.com, you'll see a video up there where my grandson, I call him my wood flipper. You've heard of flipping homes, right? Well, he flips wood. He also flips weapons. Go and watch that. And how they made thousands of dollars within a very short time, a few weeks. And they were able to go on what kind of trip? And it was a legitimate business trip. We talk about that. And he got somebody to buy him a shotgun. He made $2,000 on it, and he got a shotgun for free. He bought a shotgun, got someone else to pay for it. If you guys that's how I bought millions of dollars of real estate. If you understand about the deal, it'll be a whole major revelation for you. In our company, I have associates under contract. You send me referrals. No, you don't have to do this. It shouldn't be you anyway. It should be your company contracting. And you bring me referrals and we incorporate them or do different things. According to your contract, you can be paid hundreds of dollars just for the phone call. I don't know, what do you got to do to make $400 or $1,000? Yeah, how many hours? And I don't care if you're an employee, I don't care if you're a business owner, how many hours do you have to work to make $500, $1,000? We always equate it to dollars, but you got to equate it to time. You just gave, it's what I call linear income. If you're giving, even my attorney gets paid $250 an hour, but you know that she's unemployed until the next time she gets another what? Client. Okay? That's not, I don't care if you get paid $500 an hour. I get paid very well because I get paid when I sleep, take a shower, I take my weekly shower. The ladies go, really? I'm kidding. I have to say that I've got that dry sense of humor. People do that. I tell people how much I love children. And the ladies just brighten up and everything. I said, yeah, they taste like chicken. A lot of the women go, I don't think that's funny. I don't know, us guys think it's funny. Anyway, lighten up. If you don't think that's funny, you need to lighten up. I'm just kidding. That's what Smokey Bear says about Boy Scouts. Tastes like chicken. Anyway, I'll probably get sued by Smokey Bear for saying that. No, my waiver here online is Smokey Bear does not say that. Okay, do we have that recorded? I'm just kidding. Okay, thank you. Do you need extra income? If you could do referrals and talk to people and start learning about business, and you go on a membership site of mine and you start learning about business, I can't take 30 years of knowledge, folks, and put it in your head in one seminar. You can't read this book and turn around and say, I know it all. It's not in there. But I can have you go online if you want, and you invest a whopping $20 a month, and I will educate you on all the things we talk about. But I also have a quantum leap, which I'm talking about right now, where you spend 2 days with me from, it's 9 to, I think it's 9 o'clock. I don't know, what did I have you guys, 8 to 5, 9 to 5? Didn't let them out, fed them, but we went after it. And I didn't even touch on 10% of it. And the thing is those 2 days with me, I also train on for the entire year. You're struggling? Will I be there? Yeah. If you're struggling, see, everybody thinks that they get one thing about buying a car or buying real estate, and so they stay on the one thing. And I'm trying to give more ideas that you don't have to stay on the big things. You can make thousands of dollars. If you brought in an extra 10 grand, would that get you out of debt for the year? Hello? Yeah. Have you ever been the lender and the borrower? Can you lend your corporation, can it lend you the money to pay off your credit cards that are charging you 18, 22%? Yes, it can. And can you pay back your corporation at 4%? You never thought of being the borrower and the lender, have you? Okay. Can you be the buyer and the seller? One time, I had a home. You know we had a real estate problem a few years ago? You've heard that, right? And just when it was starting to collapse, I was holding a piece of property that was depreciating under me as fast as every day going down. And what did I do? It was owned by a corporation. We won't say who owns the company, but it was owned by the corporation. This is in Orlando. And the market was dropping. And I could have went, well, there's nothing I can do about it. Well, could I go sell my piece of property? It takes 30 days, generally 20, 30 days to find people to buy the thing and then to close on it. By the time you close on it, where's the value of the property? It's dropping by the week, folks. That's what it did. So what did I do? It's the only time I ever did this. I went and qualified for a loan personally and bought that house from my corporation. I had it on the market for $360,000, and I qualified and bought it from my corporation for $360,000. The market was falling, and I created my own market by doing that. The 40 grand equity dropped in the corporate account, and I walked away with the money. Now, I still had the house, and then I leased it out, owner purchase. Now, could I have failed at that? Are you kidding? Not if I had, no. But had I not, how many people know I one time created my own market in a neighborhood where homes hadn't sold in 20 years? And they said, you can't sell that house for that much. I said, try me. I sold it in 45 minutes, and I made $60,000 net. It took a month to do the rehab. It's a beautiful home. So the point is, can you create your own market? If you don't like the market, create one of your own. Have you ever thought of that? The thing with Quantum Leap and the thing that I teach people is to stop thinking employee. And that's okay, but I was an employee. I had a plan. In 1984, I went and got my insurance license. Do not sell insurance. I went and got an insurance license, and from January through August, I worked part-time as a waiter. I stopped managing restaurants because I worked 80 hours a week doing that. So I was a waiter for 5 hours a night, and I worked my financial business during the day. And once my part-time income matched and exceeded my full-time income, I gave myself a birthday present. August 7th, 1985, I fired my boss. It was a plan, and I built that business. Everybody goes, well, I want it now. I tried for 3 months. Is that what you do? Most people, another law, most people quit just before they make it. And I can't tell you how many. Winners always want to quit. Always. They just never do. I just went, what if this was the one time that if I quit, I would have made it next month? And I'm going, ugh. And so I picked myself back up and went one more time. Had I quit years ago, this book wouldn't be sitting here, because I wouldn't have gone through the trials and tribulations it took me to write this book, and to give you the wisdom not to do the things I did, and to join and hook your wagon to us, and I'll train you online. And I will have conferences. And our next conference, by the way, Pastor Alex, is in October, and it will be in Sacramento. Okay? And my publicist, which is sitting right over there, better have a lot of people at it. No pressure. No, she did a great job. Okay? So folks, can you hook your wagon with us? Yeah, it doesn't cost you anything. I can charge you if you like, but I don't charge for it. Come under contract and refer people to us. Okay? Now, get out of debt with credit cards. We talked about it. It's the thing I call the disease of consumerism. The minute you get, they just upped my credit on one of my cards, and I have a bunch of them. And yes, I pay them off every month. It's the one I use for the corporation. And they just upped it $1,500 more. It just said, just click the button and they raised it. So you're such a good client. I ought to be. I put tens of thousands of dollars through that account. What is a credit line? And so on. I'm not going to go through all this. The power of a yard sale, talked about $127. Ever bought high-end furniture that cost 30 grand and paid absolutely nothing for it? How do you do? See, you think it's real estate. It's not. This doesn't apply to real estate. Just real estate. It's the deal. And if you allow me to train you, you can do this stuff. I live okay. And you want to know how much I own? It's none of your business. In fact, I show people how to disappear legally to where a creditor can't find them. Okay? Legally. Even the Internal Revenue Service can't find them. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that the IRS can't come and make your company, give your company a lot of grief. I'm saying it's nobody's business. You're not trying to hide from IRS or anybody. If you have 20 homes, should it be in your name? No, because they sue you, they get everything. And does the 20 corporations you got your 20 properties in, do you have to worry about if they sue you, can they get to any of those properties? No. And isn't it nice that you don't have to, if you got a loan on one, you don't have to worry about having the other person qualify for the loan. You just sell the company to them. Oh, do they have to qualify? No. You're still on recourse on it, so you better have a way to get it back. But I don't mind selling a property 2 and 3 times. And then foreclosing, I get all their down payment and everything. Works real well. And we have good people that know how to rehab, don't we? Don't we? Okay, good. Right answer. Okay. High-end furniture, buy a car, so on and so forth. Self-directed IRAs, sole 401ks, self-directed 401ks, specialize in pension funds. I'm not going to get into all that. There's a lot of secrets out there, folks, and you haven't got a clue about them. It's not your fault. It's just there is no institute that teaches this. And I'm putting together a financial institute that will have 1- and 2-year certifications. You'll have to, and yes, there will be exams and tests and that kind of thing. And by the time you're done, I'm done with you, you won't think the same. Don't just stay in real estate. Don't just stay in, you can do anything with anything. Some of you like to hunt, like my son-in-law, but how about an ATV? Or how about a skidoo or a watercraft? Can you have all that? Yes, get someone else to pay for it. You see, it doesn't just stay with cars. The only reason I picked on cars is because everybody pretty much owns one. So everybody can relate, okay? So, we won't go with the pension funds, but if you know somebody has an IRA or a 401k getting out of their work, is there ways to raise funds for a project of yours? Hello? Yeah, we specialize in that. And you didn't have to go with your hat in your hand and borrow any money. We provide it. Okay? How do you do that? It's none of your business. No, I'm kidding. Buy below wholesale, sell above wholesale. Folks, it's one of my 40 laws. Read up on that. The 2-year rule. The 2-year rule is an amazing tax rule. Once I learn you about that, your eyes are going to get that big around. Okay? Do not eat your seed. Preparing your home for really what you want. See, you can buy your home and get the home you want and pay $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 for the house, whatever you want. Yes, you have to do something different. And yes, you must do something different. Let me repeat myself. It has to be done different, but in 12 to 15 years, you'll be in your house. People would have given you $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, whatever your house is worth, or the loan was, on that house, and it would be paid off, and other people would have paid it off for you, and without any tax ramifications whatsoever. Why? Because they know the tax laws. Okay? Now, they can change, but for right now, it hasn't changed in a long time. So, do you want your own home? You can get your own home. Does that mean you got to work at it? Yes. Does that mean you got to be tenacious? Yes. But we'll also teach you the secrets. But you have to invest in yourself, and not only invest in the book. And by the way, I don't know if any of you have looked out there. There's the posters we have out there that have the 40 laws. We made those. Now, could you kind of show that up? That's on very special paper and photographic paper. Thank you. And laminated. And what it is you can put that on your mirror or whatever. You will start remembering these laws because you're going to use them. Especially when you catch yourself getting emotional about a purchase. Should you do that? Nope. Well, you'll find the 10%ers out there. Here you go, there's 10%. Like I said before, well, I'm not getting emotional. I'm not going to fall in love with that house. I don't care how big the closet is. I won't do it. Now, I got to sit in a brand new 2014 Burgundy Corvette. Oh, baby. And the guy who works on my Corvettes, he took me over to the showroom floor and sat in there and fired that thing up. The cockpit fires up. It looks like a jet inside, and they've got all new graphics. And I went, oh, man. And the salesman comes over. Yeah, it's on $65,000. And he says, well, wouldn't you like to have that? Yeah, I would. But I talked to my mechanic just this morning, actually. But I actually told him yesterday, I said, what I do is I'll wait for the nutcase to come in, buy the car for $65,000, and when he hits the curb, it's going to depreciate. Vets don't depreciate that fast, about 20%, the minute it hits the curb. And before he pays it off, within a year, 2 years, 3 years, I'll buy the car at below wholesale. Why? Because I know how to do that. I talk about how to buy cars and get someone else to pay for it, but what I've never told you in any instructions is how to find the deals. That's the secret. Okay? So, and that, I talk about Corvettes and all that kind of thing, and, I've got one parked out there. Okay, it's a company car, and it has Nevada. What's it got on the plates? Nevada NB Corp 1. Okay? Why did I have 1? Because I might have NB Corp 2 come along pretty soon. Anyway, but I used to fall in love with cars. I don't anymore. That car's going this summer. Why do I want to sell a car and hold it only for 1 year? What makes you think I might want to do that? Because cars will do what? Depreciate right out from under you, even a Corvette. So I buy newer cars. I'll probably buy, 2 years newer, 2 to 3 years newer every time I shop for a car. Now, for us guys, that's shopping. Okay? Yeah. Okay? The thing is, I'm going to get paid about $5,000 to do that, to own that car. Get paid to own the cars. And why I say that you you can deduct stuff. Well, great. That doesn't inspire anybody if they're not making any money. You got to make money. Okay? We show you how to do that. Are you interested in making money? So the investment that you put in Quantum Leap will make that back for you, and it'll be deductible, and we'll show you how to do it. You've got to diversify, not do just one thing, do a couple of things, and we'll show you some secrets. And you'll go, and so the money I invested in the book, do you think I invested any money in the book? Tens of thousands. Will I get that back? No, I don't hope so. I know so. I know that I know that I know. And the reason why is because I'm going to be on just one radio station that goes out to 100,000 people. How many people are going to sign up on my membership site? What's 10,000? I'll give you a secret. What's 10,000 members times $20 per? It was a great revelation Steve Harrison told me. He says, why would you want to sell a book for $20 when you can sell what's in the book for $20 a month forever? And that's what I did. I went, wow. I just told you a secret to being a millionaire. When I tell you the price of it, some of you are going to go, well, people spend $1,500, $100,000 going to college. I signed up for Steve Harrison's Quantum Leap, $12,000. I don't know. Do you think it paid off? It's just begun. It's going to bring millions of dollars in. And yes, I know how to do millions, even offshore in non-tax jurisdictions, legally. Yes, you have to report to the IRS certain things. Folks, let me get you down here to shovels and buckets. I get people that I talk about their education. Now, can you even imagine how much money I've invested in my education over the years, 30 years? Well, let me ask you, do you know how much money I've lost over the years? Let's try that. I've lost money. I've made a lot of money. I've done both. But my education's literally cost me millions of dollars. And just like with Pastor Godot, that man's been around for over 30 years. Do you think he has a business institute and a business class? Doesn't teach what I teach. But the thing is I wasn't, when Steve Harrison, he says, well, you can make payments. And so I thought, okay, make payments. $12,000. Well, that include the $5,000 it took me to just to go out there and talk to them and meet them. Was that worth my time? Who did I get for a publisher? The top publisher in the nation, one of them. And who did I get to meet? ABC, NBC. He put us right in front of those people, right in front. Brian Kilmeade on Fox and Friends. Anybody know who he is? He does the sports part of it. Well, I talked to Brian, okay, and I've talked to some of those people, and Jack Canfield and all those. It was part of my education. I know that investment will return. Let me ask you this. Can you imagine allowing yourself to get to a point where you'd lose all your education? Will you ever lose your education? It's the one thing you could lose: bankruptcy, lose your suits, your shirts, hopefully you don't take your underwear, but you can lose, but you can't lose the knowledge. You take it everywhere. In fact, I'm writing a book. I actually wrote the book 14 years ago. If you take a entrepreneur with a high school education, and you take a college person, guy, both men, and you put them in a city, one is grown up having a job and college education, the other one's an entrepreneur, high school, college, same age, same weight, same color, haven't even picked a color yet, doesn't care, and you put them into a city, and a year later, do you know that the millionaire will become a millionaire again? And the employee will become an employee again. Why? It's the knowledge and it's the mindset. I was talking to a few of my staff. I said, what would you do? And I said, you dropped in a city, shirt on your back, clothes, a coat, can't use any of your credit lines, you can't do any of this. They'll give you $100. What would you do? And I wrote the book. Actually, it'd be a good series. I think Dan's the one who came up and said, yeah, it'd make a great reality series, and it actually would. I went, oh, baby. Now I get a series to go. Anyway. So, what would you do? Think about it. Just think about it between now and tomorrow. What would be the very first thing you do when the plane landed and your foot hit the tarmac? What would you do? How would you get, you're homeless. You have no money, no job, can't use your credit lines, you can't call anybody. You're alone. What would you do? And I'm going to make a movie out of that. Okay? So the thing is would you want to learn that? See, they asked me, so what would you do? Well, I said, well, first thing I have a plan instantly. I'd hit the ground. I know exactly where I'd go, what I'd do. I'd have income within a very short time, and I'd be incorporated the first 30 days. I'd be in business, boom, boom, boom. Why? Because I know the what. Hello? I know the secrets to the free enterprise system. I know how to start a business. I know how not to get a job for very long. I might have to get a job for a little bit, bring in immediate income. What would you do? We teach that. Now, if you haven't bought the book, get the book. Get one of those posters so you can put that puppy right up on your mirror. It's why I didn't get them so that you could, they're $10. So that you could pay me $10, I make a lot of money. That doesn't rise and fall on I want that to use as a tool. You'll go through and you'll read those and you'll see those, and then pretty soon you're going to see them out. When you talk to people and they respond to you and they give you the negative attitude or they can't do it or whatever, you're going to say, well, that's law 12, well, that's law 23. You're going to start recognizing those things. You won't have to study them. They will become part of you so that you will never do those things ever again. Okay? So, my quantum leap, I charge $4,000 for. And yes, you can make 3 payments. Boy, sure got quiet. And you will spend the 2 solid days in a huge conference room, not like this, but it'll be a board room, and we will get after business for 2 days. And you will also have an entire year with me. And we'll set you up, and that includes your corporation. Now, some of you go, well, I don't have the money. Yes, you do. I'll show you how to replace the money. That's easy. Folks, replacing money is simple, but losing knowledge is not. Now, most people get caught up in the stuff. And what I mean by that is, I'm giving you gold. You if no one buys here, my company goes on, my book goes on, I go across the nation. So I want you to understand, you didn't come here to get sold something. I'm getting here, and why I make you pay for it? Anybody know why? Ricky's right. Anything of value is paid for. Anything you get free, no value. Even at our old age, you value something you paid for. If you paid for it, it's something I learned in human nature a long time ago. You give it away free, and it gets tossed. They have to pay for it. It has value. And you'll listen to me. Folks, if you say, well, I don't have the money, find somebody who does. Now, I love using other people's credit cards. Who told you it had to be your credit card? So I'll pay you back. Okay. Do you think if I need that $5,000 to buy that $80,000 car and I'm flat broke, where would I go? And don't say to me. Well, I actually do. Come to me. I'd be very interested in that. But I'd buy the car below wholesale, and once we got it, the title on it, how long can I take it and sell it for $20,000? It's worth $80,000. I'd sell it to the dealers. That's more than, you understand? If you got the deal, you got the deal. You can find the money, and I'll show you how to do that. And it works with everything, even paying for your quantum leap. Includes your corporation. You need to be incorporated, so it doesn't include your state fees, but the corporation, we file it, we get it done, and then we teach you how to learn it. I showed in one of my presentations the cockpit of a plane. Sir, Pastor Glenn, you got a new plane. Here it is. Dual engines. Beautiful. Now what? What can he do with it? He doesn't have the what? He doesn't have the license, but what's it take to get the license? He doesn't have the knowledge. Who would fly with him anyway? I wouldn't get in that plane with him. He didn't. Yeah, I got a whole half an hour. I got 3.5 hours in the air. I just want you to know. And I will finish that this year, get my airline, because that's something I want to get. By the way, can you buy a plane and get someone else to do it? It's in the book. Talks about it. Actually, somebody did that. It's in the book. Buy the book. If you don't buy the book, that's okay. My company goes on. If you don't want to buy the 40 laws, my company still goes on. And if you don't get into Quantum Leap, my company still goes on, because I'll have people from all over the United States coming. But you're here. I want to be able to spend some time with you, and you will pay for it, and I will see that you get your funds back. Is that fair enough? So all I need to have you do is go over there where my daughter's at and fill out an application. It's about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and please don't write in tongues. Only pastors would understand what that means. Write legibly and use your card. So one time, remember I said there's good debt and bad debt? Did I use funds to do all the things? Yeah, you know where I found the funds to do all this? The tens of thousands of dollars? I have investors that believe in me. It doesn't cost me a dime. And by the way, the money I receive from my investors, not $1 in federal income tax. Never. How do you do that? These are secrets you must learn. These are secrets that most people don't know. You sign up, we'll set a time, you'll probably be at the mill in a large conference room. You come casual, there'll be meals provided, and we take our shirts off, and I mean our coats off, and we train, and I go after it. And I go after it for hours. And then I'm with you for the next year, so that when you run into challenges or you don't have, it's not working for you. That's another one of my laws. What works for someone else will also work for you. Come invest in yourselves. Go sign up. If you don't, I just appreciate you being here. We're running a little bit over. They're going to be there's coffee over there. They're going to be bringing the food out here in about 10 minutes. So So go ahead and do that. Go ahead and bring the food. And folks, come be with me. And we'll spend time together. And I will change your lives and what you've done. And see, I have, you saw Pastor Godot up here. I have the Hollywood, even though Noel didn't come. And by the way, I'd have never met Noel if it wasn't for Dad. Okay, never would have. That's contact. And you have now a contact for books. There's a book in you. Okay? God bless you. Thank you for your time.